Hi, Rob and Claire and Lauren. I'm Adrian from Bickerton Masters. Thank you for taking time out to listen to our presentation for the Edithvale Lifesaving Club. Edithvale is one of the oldest lifesaving clubs in Australia, and this building replaces the one which they occupied for nearly 100 years. I'd like to begin with an acknowledgement to country. This project is placed on the land of the Bunurong people of Southeastern Kulin Nation. We wish to acknowledge them as the traditional owners and pay our respects to their leaders past, present and emerging. Edithvale is roughly 30 kilometres southeast of Melbourne. The site sits proud of the suburb, and if you're familiar with Bayside, you'll know that it's heavily built up for kilometres in both the north and south direction. There is no connection to the shore when travelling along the Nepean Highway, Frankston Train Line or Station Street, which all three contribute to a separation between shore and suburb in their own right. A closer view of the site shows that the beach views are for those who can afford the luxury. The densification of the urban fabric is also responsible for limited parking, making pedestrian access the predominant beachgoer. Accessing the beach through Beeson Reserve, after getting off the train at Edithvale, over 25,000 people visit the beach every summer, the majority of them on foot. The seawall, the sand dune, the esplanade and the suburb define the four sides of the site. Environmental conditions and sand redistribution due to longshore drift and erosion mean that the site is forever changing. The existing building is a visual and physical barrier, and it provided very tight, inappropriate access and was an obstacle to getting down to the beach. Our response. Edithvale is one of the narrowest beaches on the bay and will be significantly impacted by sea level rise. The new building has been lifted 800 mil to contend with predicted sea level rise for the year 2100. Already the existing seawall at the front of the building there has water lapping at its base during king tide events. Accessibility to the beach is the focus for the design. 2 ramps from the concourse were provided to mediate the elevated ground floor and current beach levels. Ramps and concourse are an extension of the beach, coloured to mirror the sand and designed to allow sand to creep up the ramp to entice people to make the walk down to the water. Given the predominant visitor to the beach makes the trek from the train station, it was important for us to sculpt the building to provide views to their destination and promote intuitive wayfinding for people regardless of diversity. The first floor is set back and bridges over the ground floor, creating beach views to the side and through the middle of the building. Pedestrian access ramp to the north marks the beginning of the beach experience as it draws you down. Sand-coloured concrete indicates you've already arrived, and the views to the beach let you pick your spot on the sand before you get there. We understood that the building is not the destination, but rather a transient space to move from suburb to beach. It acts as a gateway to signify the change between urbanisation and urban space. It was important for us to celebrate the club through the lifeguards on duty. The observation room is cantilevered over the concourse from a central column, giving the lifeguards a prominent position in the building. The elevated first floor covers the concourse and allows people to meander to the shore, providing shelter and the ability to enjoy the beach without facing the harsh sun. The kiosk is unique along the foreshore and provides a meeting place for people. Located on a concourse at an elevated position, it lets you enjoy a coffee and a sandwich without getting your feet dry. The column supporting the observation room with its tapering beam is a rock and a stream of water. The only column in the concourse, people move around it and interact with it without realizing. The observation room sits on top of this column, cantilevering over the concourse, letting people know there are lifeguards on duty, keeping them safe. We noted that the reserve accurately reflected the proportions of a long seafaring vessel, such as a cruise ship. station at the stern and building at the bow. We use the geometry of these vessels to assist with generating the forms of the building. The bow cantilevers over the pedestrian space and provides the elevated platform required to observe. Lineal balustrade is slightly tapered to reflect the forward tilt of the observation room glazing and mirror the linearity of the hull of a ship. As we lifted the building, we needed to consider the sole access to the concourse. Public interact with the shadows, trying to stay as covered as possible when ordering from the kiosk. The kiosk owner is forever reshuffling his outdoor furniture, trying to make as much use of the shadow as possible. And if you're there long enough, you'll see that the outdoor furniture starts creeping further and further into the concourse as the day gets later in the day. The afternoon sun penetrates the full width of the concourse, creating playful shadows as the day goes on. One aspect of the project that we're incredibly proud of is its approach to water-sensitive urban design. The esplanade, the reserve, and the building all have their storm water captured and filtered through a rain garden before it is dispersed into the sea. Located adjacent the beach access ramp and the pedestrian access ramp down to the beach, the rain garden acts as an education tool, displaying the objects captured through the filtering process. Image taken last week shows the rain garden thriving and the ability that people have to interact with it and see what comes out, promoting taking refuse and debris home with them after a day at the beach.
1 minute remaining.
Thank you. The building is positioned to be partially submerged in the sand. This was required to mediate between the levels of the elevated esplanade and the beach. We look to Fort Nepean to assist with integrating the buildings into the landscape. Partially submerged bunkers also have the same basic function of observing the water. Patrol room on the south of the building is a slotted window through a masonry shell. The kiosk is treated the same way, and both these flank the building at the north and south ends of pedestrian ramps. Masonry elements are used to anchor the building to the site, along with concrete bluestone. Timber is used to help the building age in place. The intention is that with each passing season, the building will have subtly changed as a reflection of the environment it's exposed to. These images taken last week show that timber is graying where it's more exposed, concrete showing signs of weathering on where it's facing different surfaces, the dune slightly taking over, and the sand dune creeping up the paths. At the ground floor, the public areas are noted in blue, and the club areas are noted in orange, concourse running through the center of the space. First floor is accessed through a foyer, and then up the stairs to the training room, social room,